When I lived in and volunteered at the children's home in China, we would work, the staff there, we would work 6 days a week, 24 hours for 6 days a week, and then we get one day off a week. And this one day, it was our day. It was our day to get away from the children's home, to go to enjoy some personal time. Well, being from America, on my day off, which was Monday, I decided I wanted to go to McDonald's. In the town that I was at, they had one McDonald's. And so Monday evening, that was my evening to go away, to go to McDonald's and to eat hamburgers. Sometimes in a Monday evening, sometimes I would eat 4 hamburgers along with soft ice cream, French fries, and as much as I could take of American food. That way it would last me for the rest of the week. Well, when I would get my hamburger, I would go sit at the table and start eating my hamburger, really enjoying my personal time and time away from teaching children English, and this was my time. But what would happen is a lot of college students, they would come and they would see me, and a lot of college students in China were learning English. So the first thing they wanted to do when they saw a foreigner was to practice their English. So I would be there at the restaurant, and somebody would come over and say, "Hey, can I talk to you for a moment?" And I would say, "Sure," and I'm there eating my hamburger, but then I got a brilliant idea. When college students or high school students would come up to me at McDonald's, and I would sit down and they'd start to come up to me, and after a while people realized Monday evening, that's when the foreigner is going to be at McDonald's. So Monday evening, the college students would come, and I got a brilliant idea. So when a college student would ask me and say, "Hey, can I sit down and talk to you for a moment?" I would say, "Sure, but first you need to buy me a hamburger." So that college student would go buy me a hamburger, bring me the hamburger, sit down, and for the next few minutes we would dialogue in English. Soon after a while they would get up and go, and another college student would come and "Can I talk to you for a moment?" I would say, "Sure, but first you must buy me a hot fudge sundae." So they'd go buy me a hot fudge sundae, and I got so good at this that Monday evenings I wasn't even using my own money to buy food at McDonald's. It was all food that the students were using to buy food for me so that we could sit down together and practice English. So it was an enjoyable time for both of us. Well, one particular Monday evening, I went to McDonald's and had my food, and as I'm sitting there, McDonald's had a first floor, which was really busy, then a second floor, which is like a dining area. The first floor was where you ordered your food, and then you took it up to the dining area. It was a larger area on the second floor. Well, I went up there to the second floor, and it was a little slower that evening. And I'm sitting there at the table and talking to a couple other people, and after a while they go, and I'm sitting there alone, and I look over in the corner, and I see a foreigner. And there's a young man, he's from Africa. And I see him there, he's just kind of slouched over, he's got a hat down, and he's just there kind of sitting there, almost like he's going to sleep there that night. Well, in China, there wasn't that many foreigners in that city. And actually, the whole city, there for a while, I was the only white American in that whole city, a city of 3 million people. So whenever you see a foreigner, you make it a point to go over there, say hello, and welcome them, and just to have some genuine English conversation. So I saw this man, and I finished eating my food, and I walked over to him, and I said, "Hey, how's it going? And how are you?" And anyway, that opened up a conversation, and I sat down, we started talking together, and thankfully he didn't ask me to buy him a hamburger before we started dialoguing in English. And so we're there talking, and I asked him, "Hey, how are you? Or what are you doing here?" And he said, "Yeah, he's here. He came and he's teaching English at a English center about a block away from McDonald's." And so I talked to him, and we were talking together, and he said, "But I have a problem." He said, "I came here 3 months ago, and when I went to my place of employment, I went there, and one of the first things that they do is they take your passport from you." And that was good, but my boss treated me more like a slave than an actual employee. And he said, "Oh, he took your passport from you." "Yeah, he took my passport and locked it up in the office. And there for teaching English, I would go and be with the children. There would be some children that would come over. I'll sit there. They'd take photos of a foreigner teaching their children English. And I was like an advertising piece for this English teaching center." And then at nighttime, I'd go to my room, and and his boss would come and would lock him in his room so he wouldn't be able to go out at night. And he said, for 3 months I put up with this. And finally, one day I decided I had enough. I talked to my boss many times about getting my passport and when can I leave this place. And by now my visa had expired and I'm stuck here teaching English in this English center. What can I do? So he said, one day I decided I had enough. So I broke out of my room, I broke into the office, I stole my passport, and now I came to McDonald's. And I don't know where to go, I don't have money. I did talk to my mother in Africa. She's sending me, she's wiring some money that I can use. But the problem is it takes several days for the transfer to get processed before I can go to the bank and pick up that transfer of money. So I was there talking to him, and I was moved by his story, and it reminded me stories of what they call modern slavery. And I was moved, and I said, well, is there any way I can help? And I'm not going to just let you sleep here at McDonald's. Number one, you don't speak Chinese, and you don't know what people are talking to you. And I said, I want to help you, and I'm going to help you find a hotel. I said, I know of a hotel. It's a couple blocks over. I said, let's go there, and I'm going to get you a room for tonight, and then we could talk more in the morning. So I had a little motor scooter there in China. We jumped on my motor scooter, and this man, he didn't have any luggage, but he had his passport. He had his passport. He kept it underneath his hat. And so we went over to the hotel, and I went and I booked him a room and used my ID card and booked him a room and up in this hotel. And I said, okay, now you stay inside this room. Don't go outside. Just stay inside because we don't know. Maybe your boss is out looking for you. Maybe he's going to make problems. Maybe he's going to make trouble. I said, you just stay inside this hotel. You have a cell phone. I'll call you in the morning and we'll discuss more about the plans. So I booked the hotel and went back to the children's home and thinking about this. Okay, what am I going to do? How can I help this guy out? Man, he's in a hard situation. I went back to the children's home. Well, the next day I called him up and I said, sir, it takes 3 days for that money transfer to get processed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to book the hotel for 3 days. Just wait a moment. I'll be there. I'll bring you some groceries. I said, you can eat in the hotel room. Do not go outside. And when we went to the hotel, we went around and we took many different roads just to get there, just in case somebody was following us. So when I came that morning, I went and dropped off some food for him. I brought some groceries and brought a couple bags of groceries. And when I went to the hotel, I went many different ways just in case somebody's following. Went to the hotel, dropped off the groceries. I said, here, eat this. Don't go outside. Well, he agreed and he thanked me very much. He said, thank you for helping. And I went and gave him some money. I said, if anything happens, here's some Chinese yuan. You can use this for emergencies. And please be careful. Please stay inside. Well, then I went back to the children's village. And when I went back there, here his boss and his boss's secretary was there at the children's village waiting for me. And they said, hey, did you do, and they wanted to meet me, and so I went there to meet them in the office, and they said, hey, did you do anything with a black friend, with a friend from Africa? And I said, yeah, I met a friend from Africa. We met at McDonald's, and he said, yeah, he has a friend that saw me talking to his friend, this teacher from Africa, and we were at McDonald's, and then we walked out together. He said he has a friend that saw us both there together, and he wondered do I know where he's at? Well, I got a little angry with him. I said, sir, how did you track me down to this children's home? I said, this is a children's home. This is my work. This is the place of my work. Do not come here to meet me here. And I was really angry with him, and the secretary was there talking to the secretary. I said, do not come here again. If you want to meet, call me. If you want to discuss this, call me. We'll meet at McDonald's and we'll meet at McDonald's and discuss this further. Well, I kicked him out, and the principal there at the children's home helped, and we kicked him out and said, you want to talk? Call me up and we'll schedule a meeting. Well, he left the children's home and he called me up. He said, let's meet at McDonald's. And I said, okay, are you buying the food? Of course, he's buying the food. If you want to meet, you pay for the food. And so sometime later, then we met at McDonald's, and he came over and he had this sad story about this fella from Africa that came over and didn't want to teach English, and then he didn't know what to do with him, and so I asked him, I said, "Sir, who had his passport? Was it you or was it him?" And he didn't know how to answer that. He said, "Well, actually, he keeps the passport in his desk office, and in desk in the office." And I said, "That is illegal to do. You should not do that." I said, and then he made up all these excuses, and he has to find this person, and he's got connections to the underworld and to the gangsters, and they're out looking for him, and they're going to find him because this man caused so much trouble in his life, and he just wants to get rid of him. Well, I said, if you just want to get rid of him, let him go. Why is it such a hard problem? And I said at that moment, I said, to be honest, at this moment, I have no idea where he's at. Which was true. I didn't know where he was at, and I was hoping he stayed in that hotel room where he would be safe. Well, at McDonald's, he was a little angry and got angry with me, and I say, "I think you know where he's at, and I want you to know that I'm going to have my gangsters, my cronies out." He didn't use the word gangsters, but that's what he meant. "I'm going to have them out looking, and we're going to find him." "Okay, up to you." I said, "This is a matter between the man from Africa and you, and I don't really want to be involved. That is between the both of you. I do know that this man, he needed help, and I helped him." Well, he left. He stormed out of McDonald's, and the secretary was there, and then she tried to talk really sweet to me, and how I'm such a nice person, and I really need to help them find this African because he might be in trouble. We really want to help him. And I didn't believe a word of it. There was dishonesty in her eyes, and so I said, "Ma'am, I don't know who your boss is, but I can see that his intentions are evil, and I don't really want to be involved in helping that evil." So she left, and anyway, after some time, I went back to this African friend, and he was in his hotel, and I told him about this. I said, "Sir, you stay here. Don't go anywhere." And I brought him more food, and I said, "In 3 days, your transfer is going to come to the Bank of China." I said, "We'll go there together. Don't go by yourself. We'll go there together. We're going to get that. And then we're going to the train station. We're going to get you a train ticket. And you're going to go to Guangzhou, which is in the south." I said, I'll help you get there." So we did that. After 3 days, his transfer cleared. We went to the Bank of China, and we picked up the money that his mother had sent over. And he took that money, and before this, I'd helped him get a train ticket. And we went and took him to the train station, and I walked with him as far as I could go. And I said, "Okay, sir, you're on this train. You're safe." And he left. He got on the train, and he went many hours away to another town. And from there, he could transfer back to Africa. Well, he called me up a couple of days later, said he made it safely from the train, and now he's here, and he's waiting to get on and to get on the airplane and to go, waiting for his airplane to go back to Africa. But with that all said, there is a lot of injustice in this world, and we could have two responses. The response that we could have is we can have one of where we fight for what is evil, and we get all upset and say, "This is evil. Where is my knife? Where is my gun? And I'm going to go and I'm going to fight and shoot my way to justice." But that's not what Jesus told us. Jesus told us, he said, "Love your enemies." And at that moment, that Chinese man that had evil intentions, I still love him. And I didn't get angry and beat him up. And I tried to show him the error of his ways, but doing it in love. And I must confess, I might not have did it as properly as Jesus would have taught. And I apologize for that. But we are to love our enemies. Love those that have been wrongly treating us. We're called to be salt and light. And I pray that we could do that as Christians, to go and to share, as it says, speaking the truth in love in the Bible. Speak the truth in love. Amen. God bless.